That is Riku Mukherjee, and I'm Tony Altieri, and this is the 5 of 6 golf show. Rick, swing season. We're here, the second event of the swing season. Obviously, it's football season. Everybody's focused on that. You just got back from watching the Bills and Ravens game, and as an avid Ravens fan, kind of like we talked about before the show started here, pretty disappointing end to the game and second half of that deal.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest John Harbaugh fan. I can't stand him. He needs to get fired.
Yeah, you've made that pretty clear. Both on Discord and private messages, you are not a Harbaugh fan. You know, it's funny. I actually think I hate his brother more than him. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. They collapsed down the stretch, dude. And, I mean, again, the Bills had no business winning that game. And like I said, I was watching it. And I told you I had a bet, a parlay I thought had fallen apart because they had the Bills, I think, -3 in that game or whatever it was. And I thought that deal was over at halftime. And I could not believe they came back and won that game.
Yeah, it was pretty annoying. Ravens should be 4-0. They didn't score a single point in the second half after scoring on their first 4 drives. And I went to the game with a couple of my friends that are Bills fans in Maryland, and they were happy. I was very sad, and I couldn't wait to get out of the cold, rainy weather and get back to sunny California.
Yeah, well, speaking of friends, it is important to mention that your boy, our friend Chris, got married, which is why you were back there. Congratulations to him and his beautiful wife. And they on their honeymoon, so no fantasy football show this week either.
Yeah, I don't think so. Unless we can get you or Mike or Jake to sub in, and we can do something tomorrow. But maybe probably just skip it this week. And a lot going on in Chris's life right now. So, yeah, he's on his honeymoon now. I saw him this past week. We had a really good time. I think I was drunk for about 72 hours straight. I don't really remember being sober at any point from Thursday through Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. I had a great time. But we're back. And unlike the 5 of 6 podcast name, we got 6 of 6 through last week in my main lineup, and I did pretty well on DraftKings last week. I cashed in some big tournaments. I think I made like 2x my investment last week, and I didn't bet him, but I had a lot of Hubbard on my lineups, and I think that if he would have won the tournament, I could have shipped something big last week. At least I could have shipped like a 50K or something, but he fell apart on Sunday. I mean, he didn't fall apart. He was the only guy that shot over par on the first page of the leaderboard, which was not acceptable. And he fell back, and it ended up being a playoff with Canadian Mackenzie Hughes and Sepp Straka.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I think you and I both had a fair amount of exposure, and guys that we touted on the show, Straka, Detry, Hubbard. And so similar to you, I 2 or 3 times my investment, but I had no exposure to Mac Hughes, absolutely zero. So, I mean, big ups to Mac Hughes for winning it's been 4 or 5 years since he's won an event. And in typical Mac Hughes fashion, it was literally all around the green and on the greens is how he got it done. Straka, for whatever reason, even though Straka had missed 4 straight cuts at that event, he had played that event like 5 or 6 times. There's a guy that has a similar trend that we'll talk about this week that I think could end up getting some good ownership numbers and provide some good value with similar trends in terms of course history. But, you got to think, I heard it mentioned, Straka was fairly popular. Obviously, he had been playing well, but, for a guy to go to the same course 4, 5, 6 years in a row, miss the cut 4 years, there's got to be something about that track that he likes. And so I think, we were on it, and he played fantastic. I honestly thought it was his tournament to lose as it got close to the end there.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. We always talk about guys that are team no putt, Griot and all these other guys that are terrible putters.
Griot.
Yeah. I mean,
Griot was heartburn for some people. People had massive exposure. I mean, he's the most heavily owned guys. When he tripled, I forget what it was, 15, 16. I mean, it literally ended his day.
Yeah, I know, but like I was saying, like we always talk about guys that are team no putt that can't. All we got to do is hope for them to flip their putter and they can win a tournament. I mean, Mac Hughes is a great putter week in, week out. He's like Denny McCarthy. He gains strokes putting week in, week out with a short game. And for him, we kind of need a good ball striking week. And he had one of his best ball striking weeks of his career. And lo and behold, he wins a tournament. So it wasn't really expected. I had no Mac Hughes whatsoever in my DFS lineups. I wish I did. But yeah, I mean, big ups to him. I think maybe he was a little snubbed that he missed the President's Cup team or something to that nature. Like he didn't make the President's Cup teams, and they could have used him because nobody else from Canada played well in the President's Cup. So yeah, I guess maybe he felt a little slighted, and he took it out on the Jackson Country Club last week, and he played really well.
Yeah, interesting enough, you mentioned the President's Cup snubs, but him, Straka, Higo, Grillo, all towards the top of the board, all guys that would have been quote unquote eligible for the internationals team, obviously didn't get the invites, but all of those guys were literally at the top of the board. We talked about Higo. It's one guy you brought up at the end of the podcast last week, which was Garrick Higo. Where's this guy? What happened to him?
I couldn't believe I couldn't believe he was 6,100 or whatever he was last week.
Yeah, and he played phenomenal. I mean, he opened with a 70, which, you thought, okay, here we go. He's going to miss another cut. And he followed it up 66, 68, 68. So he played fantastic. But, it was funny because you and I think, both had written him off. But you had brought him up saying, God, this guy, high-level talent, wins his first tournament. We thought this guy was going to be somebody big, and he disappears. Like, it was like, what's going to be the trigger? And then just out of nowhere, he shows up and competes and finishes in third place.
Is he back?
I'm not going back to him. I'm not going back to him this week. I just, again,
is he playing this week?
He is in, I believe he's in the tournament this week. And the thing that is, I guess, a little bit surprising about him is, I mean, the guy has not gained ball striking. That's not 100% true, because he gained at the Rocket Mortgage, but he had 4 straight missed cuts coming into the event. He hadn't made a cut since the Open Championship, but he struck the ball phenomenally. He was amazing on the greens. He gained 4 strokes putting. For the guy to basically gain almost 12 strokes tee to green and finish in third, like, that's an anomaly performance, but especially for a guy who had basically lost in every category leading up to that event. I mean, it was literally out of nowhere.
Yeah, which is surprising because I thought he was really good. Like, I thought like last year he won a PGA Tour event, like we talked about. He won multiple times on the European Tour. I thought he was going to make noise on the PGA Tour, and he had a couple good tournaments last year, but for the most part, he was god awful. So maybe this is a little bit of a turnaround. Maybe this is a little bit of a resurgence for him. He got a little price bump. It looks like up to 6,800, but he's still in the 6Ks. And I mean, if we're going to play another birdie fest this week, like we did last week, maybe we can go back to him. This is not a course where distance is important, but we've seen people in the past win at this tournament that are not long hitters, like Ryan Moore and Chez Reavie, like these kind of like players. So yeah, why not some Garrick Higo this week? We'll get to it when we get to the 6Ks. I haven't really made up my mind on him if I'm going to play him this week or not, but I definitely could see him being in my player pool from the 6K range.
Yeah, for sure. Well, why don't we go ahead and jump into that before we get down there? I like to remind everybody to subscribe to the Nickel City Mafia channel, leave a comment. If you have a question, you're on with us live. Looks like we've got a few people here. Don't be afraid to ask a question. Fire one off. Give us your comments. Give us your favorite play in each one of the different tiers of players for DFS. And then we'll touch on bets here at the end of the show. But Rick, why don't we start at the top of the board? TPC Summerlin in Las Vegas, not a tough course. To be honest with you, statistically, from a scoring perspective, it is the easiest course on the tour slate of all of them out there. I have actually played this course before. It is in Las Vegas, not too far away, and it's your typical desert track. You're going to see balls fly 15, 20 yards further than they do anywhere else because of, the desert winds and elevation. So, it's a place where even guys who don't hit the ball very far are going to hit the ball a lot farther. It has some of the biggest greens of any of the courses on the tour. With the green complexes being so large, greens and regulation is much higher here than it is anywhere else. Fairways aren't that easy to hit, but it doesn't matter because the rough isn't penal. So you can get up and down and score from pretty much anywhere. Literally, this thing is a birdie fest, and you want guys who can go low, score in bunches, and lean. Obviously, like we always talk about ball strikers, but I mean, this course, if you look at the guys who have won before, and when we slide down kind of into that next tier, in the 10Ks, we also have the guys who have played here and won previously. You can see it's all kinds of guys who have competed here, right? You've got guys like Sung Jae, who did it with ball striking last year, Martin Laird, who eclipsed our boy Matthew Wolf for the win last year. Kevin Na, a short guy, a putter, a guy who does it with, around the green and on the greens game. And Bryson DeChambeau, the exact opposite of that, right? An absolute bomber. I did find it funny. Look at the number of live guys that are on these leaderboards, right? Is it kind of funny that the Vegas tournament has a bunch of live guys playing in it? I thought that crossover was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's kind of makes sense, right? Those guys are all kind of gamblers, like Pat Perez, Phil Mickelson, like those kind of guys. And I guess they would like to go to Vegas, have a good time, like to party, like they're doing it up on the Live Tour right now.
Yep.
Which there is a Live event this week in Bangkok. So a little something else that we could potentially watch this weekend. But like you're saying, a variety of players. I mean, even look at the runners up here. Austin Cook, Rory Sabatini, Adam Schenk, Ricky Fowler, Abe Answer. Like, these are not long hitters. Adam Hadwin, not a long hitter. So yeah, you're right. Distance is kind of important, but the ball is going to fly here. It's at elevation. I think it's just going to be a wedge fest for most of these guys, and it's going to be a putting contest. So I think anyone can win here. Everyone's pretty live at this event, but there's one name here at the top of the board that year in and year out is dominant, and that's Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, you mentioned it. He's got a win, and in his last 4 events at this course, a win and 4 top 10 finishes. The other 3 were a second, and an 8th. The other guy that has outstanding course history here is obviously Sungjae Im, last year's winner. He perennially, in the times that he has played this, has been a top 25 machine here, and obviously he got the victory last year. The one guy that kind of falls out of that mold, but obviously he may be the hottest guy other than Sungjae coming into this thing, is Max Homa. I mean, Homa went 4-0 at the President's Cup. He had just won at the Florida Net, and now we have him here. With all of that being said, I think he's missed 4 straight cuts at this event, sans the comments about Sepp Straka and what he had done at CC of Jackson prior, missing 4 straight cuts and then basically going into a playoff here this year. Do you think we can take Homa, the pedigree that he has and where he is now, and throughout the course history? Or do you think, some guys just play better at some courses, and Homa kind of being somewhat of a local guy, this is an easy course for him to get to? But I guess, can you play him? Do you lose confidence in him because of the course history?
I can absolutely play him in GPPs. This is a very, very, very classic squeeze situation. DraftKings is doing something weird here with their pricing. I don't really understand why there's only 3 guys above 10K. Maybe they're just trying to change things up. I understand you don't want to put people like Aaron Wise and Taylor Montgomery in the 10K range or whatever, but I've never seen this few of guys 10K and above in my entire DFS career. So kind of interesting, but Cantlay and Im are going to be the own guys here. They're going to be severely owned. Max Homa is going to be severely unowned compared to the other two. And it's a classic GPP pivot for you guys out there that are playing, big field tournaments and stuff like that. I would never use Max Homa in a cash game or like a small field event or something on DraftKings. I would much rather go to Cantlay or Im in that situation because they're a lot more safe. But in the big pitch and putt where first place is 100K and there's thousands and thousands of entries, Max Homa is a good pivot because he like you said, he has the pedigree. Even though he has multiple missed cuts in a row at this event, this is not the same Max Homa from 2020 where he missed his last time he played and he missed a cut. He is a much better golfer now, and I feel like his game has developed to the point where I have some sort of trust in him to be able to make the cut and finish in the top 10. Now, is he going to do that? I don't know. Probably not, because he doesn't really have a good feel for this course. But it's a great chance for you to gain leverage, because if you decide to play GPPs and he makes the cut and then somehow miraculously Cantlay and Im miss the cut and you're heavy on Max Homa, then you've literally eliminated like 50% of the field in GPPs. So something to think about ownership wise. It's a great pivot play. It's a great squeeze play, but I can't deny the fact that Cantlay and Im just dominated this course. And I will definitely I can't not click on both of their names. I might even play some lineups where Cantlay and Im are both in my lineup, and then I go drop down to the low 7s to fill out the rest of my roster.
Yeah, that lineup build that you mentioned, where you take two guys from above the 10Ks, that is one way to take quote unquote chalky guys, right? You stack both of those guys into one lineup, and that's how you create some ownership leverage. Most people are going to start their lineups, to your point, with one or two guys, Cantlay or M, and then drop down and grab a guy in the 9Ks, a guy in the 8Ks, and then try and fill out the rest with sevens. So by taking Sungjae and Cantlay and putting them in a lineup together, that's automatically going to make your build that much more different, because now you have to drop down and grab guys like in the sevens and in the sixes. So I like that kind of build. It's something that I've done multiple times that you and I have talked about. I mean, at nauseum on this show is if you're going to go grab, chalky guys and start your lineup that way, do it in a unique lineup build that makes your lineup different. And taking Cantlay and Im and smashing them into the same lineup is automatically going to make you different than 90% of the people in the tournaments.
Yeah, I agree. And then even if you want to get even more different here, you could do Cantlay and Homa or Homa and Im. I think that would be very different also. I don't think many people are going to smash two guys from a 10K and above range into their lineups, just because there's a lot of guys down in, below 10K that are playable. So, and like we said, like we've had long shot winners here. We've had long shot top fives here and stuff like that. So it's a situation of getting unique right here at the top, even though Cantlay and Im are both going to be severely owned. I don't think having them together in the same lineup is going to be very popular. So I think that's a good way to get unique.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, but you look at some of those names that finished inside the top four here the last couple of years: Sabatini, Shank, Cook, Stroud, Streb. Like, those are not perennial PGA Tour winners, but those guys have found themselves, to your point, within the top four, top five here. So you got a lot of guys and a lot of options, I think, down in the 5s and 6Ks, because the course, or excuse me, the 6 to 7Ks, because the course does play so easy that you can take flyers on, because you guys, they're going to make the cut. And the other thing to consider is the field is only 144 guys, and that may not seem massively different, but basically half the field is going to make the cut. So you're going to have a higher 6 of 6 percentage this week. So you can take some flyers. And I think a lot of people will end up doing more of a stars and scrubs build because of those dynamics this week.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even if you want to, let's go ahead and drop down to the nines now. I mean, even if you want to kick off your lineup with Aaron Wise at the top of your lineup, who has good course history here, who's on the verge of winning again on the PGA Tour, not really opposed to that either. I don't think many people are going to start their lineups with someone like Aaron Wise or someone like Taylor Montgomery, and they want to start with those two big names at the top. I don't mind that. Like Aaron Wise, he's I bet him this week. I like his course history here. He might be feeling a little snubbed not being on the U.S. President's Cup team. We saw it last week with Mac Hughes, but he wasn't on the President's Cup team, and he might feel a little snubbed. He had a great season last year, so he could have been one of those captain's picks. There's no reason why David Silva III couldn't have taken Aaron Wise over Kevin Kisner last couple weeks ago. So maybe he's feeling a little snubbed. I love Aaron Wise in this range. I bet him this week. He's probably my pick to win this tournament outside of like Cantlay or Im. So yeah, he's my favorite play in the 9K range right at the top. And he looks like he's not coming in that owned either, because it looks like most of the people are flooding to Tom Kim right below him. So Aaron Wise might be a good pivot play here.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. When I looked at the pricing when it came from DraftKings on Monday, I was actually really surprised that Tom Kim wasn't the fourth guy above $10,000. Like, I was actually shocked that they had him at 97 and Aaron Wise listed above him, because he has been so rock solid. I mean, it's inarguable to say that his form has been anything but stellar. And, I think when you look at this 9K range, this is going to be where a lot of people are going to end up playing. But again, that same philosophy, to your point, if you start your builds in the 9Ks and grab Wise and Tom Kim and Cam Davis and jam three guys in the 9Ks, again, that is another way to take chalky guys that you may like, but also create a very different and unique lineup structure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Looking like right now, I mean, this is a Tuesday, so the ownership percentages have matured a little bit. It's looking like the two popular guys in this 9K range are going to be Tom Kim and Cam Davis. And I like Cam Davis, but chalky Cam Davis is always a little scary. I think I'm just gonna, if I'm going to jam Cantlay and Im in my lineups from up top, because they're both going to be pretty popular, I have to find like pivots here. And I think my pivots here are going to be Wise and Taylor Montgomery, who I was heavy on last week and didn't disappoint. He played fine. I'm back on Taylor this week. I think he's really good in Birdie Fest. He literally can't finish, outside the top 10. All he does is ever finish in the top 10. His last like 6-7 events, and I don't know, man. I'm not going to go to Noren or Hoagie, but Griot is very tempting. He's been pretty phenomenal as of late. It looks like his last he's made at least five straight cuts. I only see the last 5 events, but he has a 2nd and a 5th place finish last week, 25th before that. Decent course history here, 2 out of 3 cuts made. Nothing above a top 30 here, but like we talked about, we were talking about before that we just need him to flip his putter. He's team no putt. He putted really well last week, and that's why he finished in the top 5. So I think for me, it's going to be, if I'm going to get chalky up top with him and Cantlay, I think I have to fade Tom Kim and Cam Davis in this range because they're both going to be super popular. So I'll just roll with Aaron Wise, Taylor Montgomery, and Emiliano Grillo as my 3 plays in this range.
Yeah, for me, I have to agree with you because it is so chalky in here. The one guy I really like is the guy who's coming in at the lowest ownership. That's Taylor Montgomery. I'm going to continue to play him, much like we've done in the past with guys like Mito and, Will Zalatoris and even Tom Kim. When these guys show up on tour and they're ready to play and they're competing day one, like you just ride them until they fall off. I mean, I did the same thing with Davis Riley, and obviously Riley's was in this and he's not going to play this week. He actually ended up pulling out. But, I think it's important when you see guys with form that are playing hot that you ride that, especially in the swing season. Last year was a bit of an anomaly, or the last 2 years with the strength of fields because of COVID. This was actually a really, really strong field last year coming into this event. And now what we have is a very top heavy field. And that's reflected in the betting odds as well, too, where basically, Cantlay, Homa, and Im are unbettable because they're all under, 10-1 odds. But then when you drop down into the 9Ks and look at the betting odds, like they're pretty good. You can get Aaron Wise at a good number. You can get Tom Kim at a good number. All of these guys have good options from the betting board perspective. But like if you're going to end up playing the guys in the 10Ks, to your point, you either need to skip this range or grab one of the guys who's coming in a little less owned. I love Taylor Montgomery here. He's probably my favorite. The next guy that I would say, just because of ownership, and again, he had a phenomenal year, best year on tour last year, played well here in his first event coming back, is Hoagie. Like, again, he's been ball striking really, really well. So I'll end up playing Hoagie. And, again, 9K is probably a bit of a stretch for him based off where he's usually priced in DraftKings. But again, if I can get him at some suppressed ownership, and again, the numbers look pretty good. He's coming in, he's 5th in approach. Off the tee, he's still inside the top 50. So I like those numbers coming in. We all know that, he struggles around the greens and he's not the best putter. But here, if you're missing greens and having to chip, you're already done because this is a birdie fest.
Yep. Noren and Hoagie are both going to be practically unowned. So if you want to go out there and win a GPP, you should start your lineup Homa, Noren, Hoagie. You're going to be totally different. No one's ever going to play that lineup. So good luck with that. I don't like any of those guys, but it's a good way to get unique. So they're severely coming in unknown. Like no one is playing Noren or Hoagie. They're both sub like 8% at the moment. So if you have any faith in these guys, I don't really know what their course history here is. Noren's never played it. Hoagie's not bad. A 14th place finish last year, 24th year before, 7th place finish in 2017. So he has pretty good history here. And I'm seeing for Tom Hoagie like 9% ownership right now. So, oh man, that sounds a little more tempting than Noren. But you might have just talked me into a little Tom Hoagie love there.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hoagie. Again, he's coming in fairly hot too. He played, I think, in the Fortinet. He finished top 15 there. He made it basically all the way through the Tour Championship. So again, he had a really, really good year. He won last year for the first time. Noren is interesting because he hasn't really missed a cut for a while. He's made a couple cuts in a row. He's done nothing really great. And then he almost won the Alfred Dunhill last week. So, the part of the argument is, this guy's traveling all the way across, the Atlantic and across the country to be here after, playing in terrible weather over in the UK. But I mean, the dude should have won the Alfred Dunhill last week. If he just wouldn't, I think he had a putt on 16 or 17 for birdie. And if he would have made that, he would have put considerable pressure on Fox. Fox ended up finishing the tournament well and winning, but he had a chance to win that thing last week, and a lot of people may not be aware of that because it was a Euro event.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of it, but yeah, it's I see what you're saying, but the travel from Ireland to, I mean, from what are they, Scotland, Alfred
UK,
Dunhill, or
I think it was Scotland, yeah, because they played the
yeah.
old course,
Okay,
and
yeah.
two
So
others there.
Scotland, yeah. So Scotland to Vegas in a matter of a couple of days. That's a lot of to wear and tear on the body. So I'll stay away from Noren. He's 74th overall in your model. I frankly don't even know why he's 9100. I don't really get that price. It makes no sense to me. I feel like somebody like
Made
I
a
feel like Dave.
mistake.
Yeah, somebody made a mistake there because he should be in the eights or sevens or something like that.
Yeah,
But
no, you're spot on. Like if he would have been 7,100 this week, I might be like, oh, okay, Norton, that's not a
yeah,
bad play at 7,100. I might give that a run. But
yeah.
9,100, it's like no one's playing that guy.
Yeah, I don't really get it, so I'll stay away from that. But I think you did talk me into some Tom Hoagie, so he'll be sprinkled in my lineups. But my main guy here is Aaron Wise. He's my pick to win the tournament. If I was playing one and done, I'd go with Aaron Wise this week. I think he's going to get the job done this week.
Yeah, I like Wise here. He's played well. Obviously, you mentioned a great form. Dropping down into the next tier, your boy Brian Harmon, Frodo Baggins leads us off the top. Like I mentioned, Davis Riley has withdrawn from this tournament, so he is not playing. Do not put him in your lineups. Do not bet him this week. But there's some other good names here. You mentioned some of the President's Cups guys. We've got Siwoo Kim here and a Christian Bezadenhout, who no one is going to play. Although Seabez did play well through, I think, 36 holes last week. He looked pretty good.
Yeah.
But who do you like here? And please don't say Frodo. Please don't play that guy.
Nah, I'm not gonna go with Frodo this week. I don't really like him this week. I'm gonna ride Siwoo, man. I think he showed me something at the President's Cup last week. A little bit of flair, a little bit of fire in his belly. He was telling the crowd to do stuff like that and like firing, getting under JT's skin and stuff like that. He was the top points getter for the international team at the President's Cup. I'll ride that heater into this week. Not only that, he has really good course history here. He had a miscut last year, but before that, he had an 8th place finish, a 15th place finish. So I think I'll ride some Siwoo. He's coming in not chalky, but because the chalk is coming in right above him with Taylor Pendrith, who's coming in over 20% owned. So I think I will pivot off of Pendrith here, and I think all the Davis Riley ownership that was going to come in because he played good last week. He was going to probably be a pretty popular play this week. So I think after he withdrew, all the ownership from Riley flooded down to Pendrith. So I'll just take one more 100 down and I'll pivot off of Pendrith and play some Siwoo. Besides Siwoo, I'll be honest with you, man. I really don't like anyone else in this range. I mean, I could maybe be talked into Dean Burmester. He played pretty damn good last week. What did he finish last week? 4th. Last week at the Sanderson Farm. So he's a Euro guy. He mashes the ball. He's one of the longest guys in the world. So at a tournament where he could just bomb and gouge the place, maybe I don't mind some Dean Burmester. The chalky Taylor Pendrith is a little scary. I played a lot of Taylor Pendrith last year. He played like absolute dog crap. We just talked about it. The Canadians played like absolute dog crap at the President's Cup, so I wasn't excited about that. But he was a rookie. Maybe a little pressure got to him, and now this is his first tournament after that. Man, 20 to 25% Taylor Pendrith is pretty scary in all honesty. So I think for me, it's going to be Siwoo Kim and Dean Burmester, and man, I really don't like it. You got to talk me into somebody else in this range. I just don't really like. No one appeals to me. Like last week, I thought I was being sneaky and playing JT Poston, who was in the 10K range, and he played like absolute dog trash. He shot like +6 or something like that. So I can't go back to him. He left a bad taste in my mouth. But Zayden here, I never get to him. Maybe Matt McNeely or Keith Mitchell. I mean, I don't mind those names, but I think I'd rather go to Mitchell than McNeely, but I don't know, man. You got to talk me into somebody besides Siwoo and Dean Burmester.
Yeah, I mean, Burmester, the interesting thing about him is you mentioned it. His best weapon is the driver, right? He absolutely smashes the ball. He gains off the tee in the field consistently. Where he struggles is on approach, and so my only concern with him is if he's not hitting greens in regulation. Again, these are massive greens, highest greens in regulation on tour. But if he's missing greens and having to chip everything in, he gained 3 strokes around the green at the Sanderson last week, and gained 6.3 putting. Like if he has to do that again this week, that's a big ask. So I don't know if he can duplicate what he did, in his short game, gaining 9 strokes on and around the greens 2 weeks in a row. With that being said, this is a very easy course. So I understand why you would go to him. I understand why people are playing him. Makes total sense to me. And as much as I hate to admit it, the only other guy that I could potentially stomach besides Siwoo and Pendrith in this area is Harmon. And the only reason why is he's got good course history. He finished the year, okay, not fantastic. He finished the year okay. And again, he just doesn't make a lot of big mistakes. He's not the longest guy, but again, like we talked about, everybody's going to get rolled, everybody's going to hit the ball farther, and his best surface is bent. And again, I hate playing him because I can't stand the guy, but realistically, he's 12th in the model. His stat ranked, he's inside the top 30. He's top 20 for course history, top 30 for form. So I would say
5% ownership too.
Yeah, and absolutely. I was just going there, and you beat me to it, but you're exactly right. The ownership discount, because I think people are going to end up playing Pendrith and Siwoo and Burmester, and they're just going to skip right by Harmon. So he is a guy that you can sprinkle in the lineups, and there's some logic and metrics around playing him. It's just, dude, I literally hate the guy. And I every time I see him, like his bald little head on TV, like it just makes me sick to my stomach. So it's one of those things. If you can get over the fact that you just don't like the guy and look at the numbers, he makes a lot of sense.
You need to get on Fantasy National and click the non-bias mode where they just put like rappers and musicians' names in there. You can only see the stats.
Yeah, I know. You're right. I absolutely do. I mean, the other guy would kind of throw into the mix. And again, he's typically not a great bent putter, but Keith Mitchell, man, he has these, we saw him flash a couple times last year. He played really, really well. So I could see Keith Mitchell at 8,000, especially if you can get him at, sub to no ownership, right?
Yeah, he's coming in also sub 5% ownership right now. I don't mind Keith Mitchell at all. I don't really get, man, some of this pricing is weird, man. This week the pricing, I don't know if they're just like tinkering with things at DraftKings. Like, why is Brian Harmon 8,900? Like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, JT Poston was 10,600 last week, like that, and that's priced below Brian Harmon in this field. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I know, you're right. There is no real rhyme or reason. I think that also speaks to just kind of like how soft this field is, right? Like you super top heavy, and then a bunch of randoms from basically the 9Ks all the way through the 6Ks. Because to your point, like Seabez could be 7,000, he could be 9,000 this week, and the same thing for Poston. Like Poston was above 10K last week, and now you're getting almost a $2,000 discount on him this week. I mean, honestly, like, if you think about it from that perspective, JT Poston's the guy you should play here because no one's going to own him, and you're getting a $2,000 discount.
Yeah. What's his ownership coming? Yeah, it's sub 10%, 9.7%. That's not bad. But he did leave a bad taste in my mouth last week. He played so bad last week. I think he made like 2 birdies in 2 rounds. It was terrible.
Yeah, Poston struggled last week, and I mean, again, atypical for him. Like we know, like he is typically a really good putter. He's not great off the tee. He has spike approach weeks, but he really leans on his short game. And I mean, the dude lost over 4 strokes in and around the greens, which is atypical for him. So you just got to think maybe he had a bad week, and the cure is to go to the easiest course on tour. And like we said, if you look purely at the numbers, $2,000 discount, I could see a case for it. I won't be going there myself.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to think about that. But for me, it's Siwoo. He's going to be my favorite play in this range. I like him this week.
Yeah, I like Siwoo. I will have him. I'm going to eat the chalk with Pendrith. I like Pendrith a lot this week. I just think he sets up really well. So he'll be one of the few chalky guys that will end up like moving into lineups. And other than that, like I said, maybe Harmon, maybe Keith Mitchell, but in very, very small doses.
All right.
In the 7Ks, a lot of names here, a lot of guys with course history, form, but the guy right off the jump, which is the interesting one, is Thomas Detry. Obviously a Euro stud for those that follow him on the European tour. He's a guy They call him Euro Tony Finau. Of course, Finau wins now, but Detry competes every single week, cannot win. Ball strikes the shit out of it, can't putt, can't chip. Grenades on Sunday. So that was Tony Finau until Tony Finau started winning everything. That is Thomas Detry, but he's played phenomenal. And here he is at 7,900. I could have easily seen him in the 9Ks this week. And to get him at 7,900, I thought that was cheap. Other names here of note: Hadwin, you mentioned, great course history. Mito for the first time in a while. I guess, is Mito fixed? Because he was broken towards the end of last year. We saw him in the President's Cup. He played pretty good, not great, but maybe enough there for people to be like, okay, I can jump back on Mito. And again, you're getting him at 7,800. Fowler playing better. This is a comfort course for him. But a lot of names here, guys I was on last week, like Steven Yeager, who played well. So there are a ton of options. I love the 7Ks this week, and I think because there are so many options down here, some guys that were even in the 8Ks last week that didn't play terrible, but for whatever reasons, DraftKings decided to lower their pricing. I think that we will end up getting guys at better than anticipated ownership because there are a lot of options here. I mean, who do you think are going to be the super chalky guys, and who are the guys you like down in this range?
Man, this 7,500 to 7,900 range is like the hardest range for me because I like every single one of these guys, man. Like I can make a case to play every one single of these guys in my lineups except for I guess Matt Kuchar. I never really play him, or Lucas Herbert. I don't really play him ever either. But every single other guy I like in this range. It looks like Detry is going to be the chalk. Him and Neesmith are coming in the highest owned, both at about 15% in the upper 7Ks. I like both of those plays this week. I'd rather probably play Neesmith if I was going to, pick one of those chalky guys, just because, price discount at $400 cheaper. He has really good course history here. He has, let's see what he has. 14th place finish last year and 8th the year before that. So nothing but top 20 finishes for him. So I think I'll roll with some Matthew Neesmith. Up in the upper 7Ks. I really like him. KH Lee is a TPC guy. We just saw him play pretty decently at the President's Cup. This is a TPC course, so this is a good course for him. Adam Hadwin, wasn't he above 10K last week? Or who was the other guy that was above 10K last week? I don't remember. Besides
he wasn't above 10K. I'm trying to think who the other one was in this range that was there.
There's somebody weird. I can't remember who it was. But anyways, Adam Hadwin, he has great course history here. A 6th place, a 34th, and a 4th. I could easily go to some Adam Hadwin. Below 7,500, that's where it gets a little bit dicey for me. I don't really know. I mean, I'll go back to Hubbard. I really liked him last week. 7,400 this week. I'll definitely go back to him. Nick Taylor's been playing good golf. I'll go back to him. Marty Laird at 7,200. I bet him this week. He has good course history here. He obviously won here a couple of years ago. I'll go back to him. You mentioned Steven Yeager. Love him at 7,200. Adam Svensson, I love at 7,200. My boy, my new boy, not Tom Kim, but S.H. Kim at 7,200. Yeah. This guy's a
fake Siwoo.
Yeah, he's fake Siwoo, but he might be better than Siwoo. So we'll see. 13th place finish last week, 36th at the Fortinet. Solid player. I like his swing. I like his game. Hayden Buckley, I really like at 7,100. What did he finish last year? Let's see here. Hayden Buckley, 8th place finish last year. So he's coming in pretty. He had good course history here, obviously. Other than that, I don't really have anyone else below 7,500. So for me, above 7,500, I'm going to say my favorite play is Matthew Neesmith, and my second favorite play is probably going to be. I'll just say Detry. I'll just eat the chalk up there. And then below 7,500, I'll say my favorite plays are Hubbard, Laird, Yeager, and Buckley. Those are my 4 favorite plays below 7,500.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on Buckley. I like Buckley, Davis Thompson, and Lee Hodges. I had all 3 of those guys heavily owned last week. They all made the cut. I think Hodges, or was it Thompson, ended up kind of falling back, but both guys all 3 guys made the cut, played well. So I'll probably end up going back to those guys because of, just made cut equity. So I like those guys below 7,500. Here's a name that I'll throw at you because I know no one's going to own him. But he had some struggles last year. I think the last time that we saw him play was actually at the FedEx St. Jude. And he missed the cut here last year, but prior to that, he had 3 straight made cuts in a top 10 here. That's Ryan Palmer. No one's going to own him. He hits the ball pretty far. He gets these spike putting weeks. He's a pretty good ball striker. So again, I might roll the dice just because when you look at the guys around him, Mark Hubbard, I think Putnam's going to draw some ownership. Putnam's been playing really, really well. Nick Taylor's going to draw some ownership right below him. So I think Ryan Palmer might be a guy, if you have the stones to play him, where you can get a guy at like 1-2% and make your lineup ridiculously different. With all of that being said, I'm not going to own him in like 15 or 20% of my lineups. I'm talking like 5-7% maybe. So I could see a case for Ryan Palmer just as a different name to throw in the mix, because I do like all the names that you threw out.
Yeah, that's a good call with Palmer, because it's similar to what we're seeing up top with Max Homa getting squeezed in ownership. Big squeeze here for Ryan Palmer with Kurt Kitayama right above him coming in around 10%. And then right below him, Hubbard's coming in the chalk below 7,500 at like 12-13%. And I'm seeing Ryan Palmer right now at 1.7%. Good call there. I think that's a good ownership GPP play. Because you just talked me into that, I'm going to add him to my player pool. I'm going to, sprinkle him into my lineups, but you don't need much of him. If you're playing 100 lineups, just put him in like 10 lineups and you're going to be 10x the field. So pretty good play. And he has decent course history too. He has 34th, a 7th place finish in the past. He missed the cut last year, but that's okay. Coming in off of a 20th place finish in his last event. All right, Ryan Palmer. He's going to be the one that wins me a tournament this week.
There you go. And the best thing about it is when he misses the cut, you can get pissed off at me instead of blaming yourself. So that's the nice thing about it. That's the parachute, is like, freaking Tony, man. He told me to play that loser and he missed the cut. Just blame me.
Nah, I'm the one that clicks the button.
The other guy that I like, and again, he's coming in chalky, you mentioned him, was Taylor Moore. I like Moore a lot. I was heavily owned in Taylor Moore last week. I'll probably end up being there again. These are those Corn Ferry guys that have made the way up and have shown and played really, really well. You can do the Taylor stack and go Taylor Montgomery and Taylor Moore this week if you wanted to. Powers, he's a guy that you usually play a lot. Powers coming in low owned. So he's another option there, again, because of the squeeze that you mentioned in that pricing. A lot of people are going to end up playing the Neesmiths and the Moores, and, even Adam Hadwin and Mito Pereira and Seamus Powers are just going to get overlooked. Again, I know he doesn't rate out really well in the model in terms of, what he's been doing recently, but this is a course he's played a few times. He finished top 30 last week, and, he's got a top 25 here last year when he played at this course. So you could go a lot, I guess, worse places if you wanted to. And if you want to differentiate, I think, Power's another guy that you can differentiate. And you're getting a guy who's won on the PGA Tour before.
Yeah. What did Seamus Power do recently? What has his form been like?
Power's 30th, coming in.
30th,
so he made the cut last week, finished top 30. He made the cut at the BMW, but then nothing great. He missed at the FedEx St. Jude, and when he made it the BMW, but he finished outside of what he needed to be to continue on in the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I don't mind him. I played him a lot last year. I think I'd rather go, instead of Power, I think I'd rather go to the guys you talked about before, Moore, Neesmith, Kitayama. I think I like those players more than Seamus Power this week.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they're better plays for obvious reasons, playing better golf right now. The guy that is finally chalky after not being chalky and playing so well is Andrew Putnam. So Putnam becomes an easy fade for me this week when he starts being 10, 12, 15% ownership. Like, I'm out on Andrew Putnam. I like the Putnam that comes in at like 6% ownership. Yeah. So I'll probably end up skipping him this week. And I do think the guys right above him or around him, I guess I should say, and, Nick Taylor, Chris Kirk, even JJ Spawn, like, I don't think there's much of a difference in those guys, even though Putnam is playing better as of late. So I think those are good pivots off of, a chalkier guy in that range.
All right. Any Jason Day love? Nope.
No, dude, Jason Day sucks. Like, I don't know what happened to that guy. I don't know where his life went sideways. Maybe it's like Fowler, dude. He just doesn't give a shit about golf anymore. Like, he just has money and lives.
I actually like Fowler a little bit this week.
Yeah, no, Fowler's been playing much, much better. If you look at the numbers, Fowler's ball striking has been fantastic. The putter flipped here recently, so that was what has been killing him as of late. So if we're getting the Ricky Fowler, or at least some semblance of the Ricky Fowler that we saw, who was just a phenomenal putter, if that's starting to come back, I mean, that's an option. And 6% ownership, which is kind of, I think, where he's going to end up coming in, 5-6%. That's pretty good. I mean, dude, he was great at the Fortinet. He finished top 10. He gained off the tee, gained in approach, gained on the greens. So, I mean, again, man, you start to look for these trends. Maybe we're seeing a beginning of a trend for Ricky Fowler, man. I'd love to see it because he is one of my favorites, like you.
Yeah, he has a new caddy now. His old caddy is now caddies for Tom Kim, and he's back to Butch
Upgrade for that guy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he has a new caddy now, and he went back to Butch Harmon, and I think he's been working on his swing and his putting. So, played pretty good last week. So I think you don't need to give me much to play some Ricky Fowler. So I think I'll sprinkle him a little bit. He's going to be a good pivot off of Thomas Dietrich there.
Yeah, I like the pivot play. I think Fowler's a good move there, and this is a course where he has had some success in his career. Obviously, the last couple of years have not been great, but I think we're starting to see signs of life. So I like the Fowler call as a pivot off of both Mito and Detry.
All right, let's go to the dumpster.
Down in the dumpster, this is where things get a little ugly. I think where we've had some pretty good 6K options the last few weeks, I would tell you this is probably the worst 6K range we've seen in a long time. I don't have a lot to say here other than pick your poison. There are a few guys and options. Matt Wallace, again, in my model, he ranks out really high. Stay away from that. I would highly advise to stay away from Matt Wallace. That is all chipping and putting, and I think it is a massive mistake to put him in lineups. So my big X on that 18th ranking overall on Matt Wallace, because I think it's a very small sample size. It's pulling from like 1 or 2 tournaments here recently, and I can't see going there. The guys that I do like, oddly enough, I like Hostler this week. There are some UNLV guys that have some experience here. The other 2 guys that I like, Lipsky from a pedigree standpoint, I get Lipsky and Kurt Kitayama like they are like the same guy to me, and I feel like I'm getting a discount for Lipsky versus Kitayama, even though Kitayama's played much better. And then the other guy right below him, Adam Schenk. I will be heavily invested in Adam Schenk this week. I was last week. He did not make the cut, but again, he struck the ball very, very well, and this is a place where he's had a ton of success.
Yeah, I like the Bo Hostler call. I like the Adam Schenk call. My favorite play in the 6K range is going to be Chesson Hadley at 6,900. His course history here is phenomenal. Nothing but top 20 finishes, 4 out of the last 5 cuts made. Couple top 10 finishes thrown in there. Bo Hostler, like I said, going down a little bit more, I like Peter Malnati at 6,800. I like Patrick Rogers at 6,800. I'll go back to Garrett Kigo, see if he can get a little bit of consistency in him. I don't want to. If he gets hot, he can win this golf tournament. So I don't want to miss out on that just in case. Okay, so it's like a situation where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be too heavily on him, but just in case he catches his heater like he played last week, he can win this golf tournament. We've seen him do it before on tour. So I'll go back to him. I mean, he's sucked really badly recently, but I can't quit Chris Gotterup. I think the pedigree is there.
I was going to ask you about Gotterup.
Yeah, he's too good of a golfer to be priced 6,800 in my opinion. I was playing him at like $8,000 last year, so I think he was like 8,000 at the John Deere last year, which I played him at. So 6,800 is a nice discount for him. Going down more, you said UNLV guys. Sam Ryder's UNLV, right? Isn't he UNLV guy?
Yeah, I think Sam Ryder is a UNLV guy. Yeah. And he does have a couple really good finishes at this tournament.
Yeah, where's Charlie Hoffman? He's a UNLV guy. Is he in this field?
Yeah, Hoffman's down here somewhere.
Is he?
Yeah, he's at 6,700, but his course history is not great.
All right, I'll stay with him, Charlie Hoffman. Man, I can never quit that guy. But David Lipsky, that's your boy. I'll let you play him.
He's a Vegas guy. I'll throw that at you. He is a Vegas guy as well too. UNLV from Las Vegas, calls it home.
Adam Schenk, like we said. That's about it for me. Ryan Moore, I think he's won here before and he has good course history, but I can't go back to that guy. Guy sucks. Yeah, I don't really have any other guys, man. Man, I can't believe people like Doug Gim and John Ha, they're priced so low here. That's kind of crazy to me. Patton Kazire, 6,300. He can make birdies. Um, no other names stick out to me, man, down here. Everything else is pretty blah for me.
Yeah, the one other guy who seems to be gaining steam, and again, he's like one of those kind of like Alex Smalley or Adam Sevenson is Ben Griffin down there. I think he's like 6,400 bucks, whatever he is. Like all of that is literally coming from two tournaments. It's coming from the Wyndham back in August and from what he did at the Sandersons last week. He struck the absolute crap out of the ball. He gained 6 strokes on approach, which is the most that he's ever done on his PGA Tour career, which is very, very short. But a lot of people are going to him in that range because he is popping in everyone's model because of basically those two tournaments, what he did at the Sanderson and what he did at the Wyndham. Sandwiched in between those is the Fortinet where he missed the cut. And even though he missed the cut tee to green wise, he still gained 1.1 tee to green. So maybe he's an additional add to Team No Putt that we can start looking at. And if he gets a hot putter, maybe that flips. I have no idea, other than what I've seen on the stats, who the hell Ben Griffin is, but that's who he is. That's why he's ranking so high in my models, because in the stats, he absolutely jumps off the charts, and it's literally 2 tournaments.
Okay, maybe a little bit of sprinkle for Ben Griffin. You might talk me into him a little bit. I forgot to mention one guy I really like him this week at 6,600. I just skipped over his name. It's Harry Hall. He finished
good showing here last year.
Yeah, 8th here last year. Rick Gaiman told me he lives in Vegas. He plays at Summerlin all the time. That's like his home course. So at a course where he's comfortable with 6,600, all you really need him to do is make the cut. And if he can give you a top 10 upside like he did last year, that's a steal at that price.
Yeah. Just a couple more names to throw at you before we get out of here. Both Streb and Kazire have pretty good course history here. Kazire's got top 25 and a top 10 here in the last 4 tournaments. Streb a top 30 and a top 10. So just a couple things to consider for guys way deep down the board. And we're talking about guys sub 6,500. Chad Ramey, who absolutely was terrible last week, finished 14th here last year. And then one other name, you mentioned him, but Ryan Moore. He missed the cut here last year, but previously this was like a staple for him. He is a Vegas guy. He lives there. He plays this course all the time. He is at Summerlin constantly. So, but he sucks. So you have to take that into consideration. So, those are just some names. John Ha is probably the one guy that I may end up using more heavily than other, even though he has missed a couple of cuts in the row. He played really well, man, for a good amount of time last year. Statistically, he rates out really well. He is also a Vegas guy. So I think despite the fact that John Haas missed 2 cuts in a row, I'll probably end up going back to him when I need to dip this low below 6,500.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, man, getting into our betting cards for the week. We didn't do this last week, but, hey, let's put together and show the people who we're on this week and who we're betting on. You already called your boy Aaron Wise as the winner this week, but why don't you take us through your card?
Sure. I got Aaron Wise at 22, Siwoo Kim at 50, Kitayama at 55, Neesmith at 66, Dietrich at 66. And then my bombs are Party Laird at 100, Fake Siwoo. I didn't even know you put that in there. Fake Siwoo. SH Kim at 100, Jaeger, Buckley, Shank, Hadley, Hall, all the guys we just talked about in the DFS section. I got them all at over 101. So I like all those plays. But like I said, Aaron Wise is my guy this week. I think he's going to win the tournament. I would love to see him battling like Cantlay or M down the stretch and pulling this tournament out. I think this is a good course fit for him, and I think he's going to get the job done. So that's my pick this week.
I like the call. Like you, I'm on Kitayama and Neesmith. I like both of those guys. I did bet Hoagie. I got a good number on Cam Davis, and I feel like even though I don't think Tom Kim is going to win this week, I just felt like 24-1 was a good number, right? Because I mentioned it. He's, in my opinion, the 4th best golfer in this field, and he's priced at double the odds of what they're giving you on like Sung J M. So again, I just thought the number was too good to pass on. Seeing the 24, I jumped on it. But those are my main guys. My bombs, like you, I've got a bunch of sprinkles on guys, and I'm kind of leaning heavy on guys who bomb the ball and ball strikers. Pretty atypical for me. I'm just hoping my boy David Lipsky represents UNLV and pulls it out at 225. That would be so sweet. Or even Adam Shank, because we both are on Adam Shank. Like if he won, I would be so stoked this week at 200 and 150 to 1. That would be a nice win. But I think overall we're kind of targeting a lot of the same guys on our cards.
Yep.
And it's funny because we don't really share our cards until it's time to like put this slide together. So
yeah,
I think it's funny. We're looking at the same kind of data. We're circling around the same guys. I like Wise a lot this week. My pick this week is going to be the guy you picked last week, and that's Taylor Montgomery. I think he's playing phenomenal. And again, a lot of it has been off the tee and putting, but I think this could be a very good week for our boy Taylor Montgomery. See, Taylor and Taylor got them mixed up.
Yeah.
Anything else before we pull the plug on tonight, Rick?
No, not really. It should be a fun week. I'm excited. What do we have next week? Do you know? Any idea?
Yeah, next week, I actually was looking at it here. Next week's schedule, PGAtour.com. Let's see here.
Is it something overseas or?
We have the Zozo, which is going to be in Japan, and then the CJ Cup. So we start that kind of weird swing where it goes over into other parts of the world. So we'll have
the CJ Cup's in America, though, right?
The CJ Cup is it in America this year? Oh yeah, you're right. It is. It's in South Carolina this year.
Yeah, I think they permanently moved it to America. It's not in Korea anymore.
Oh wow, yeah. I don't know why the CJ Cup, which is a Korean tournament, got moved to South Carolina, but hey, who am I? So yeah, I know. Like we've got Bermuda, and then we have Mayakoba, which is the Victor Hovland Open. So we've got
the CJ Cup's at Congaree. You know who won at Congaree, right?
No,
Garrick Higo. It's our boy.
I thought Higo won at.
Oh no, he won at Palmetto. He won.
Yeah, Palmetto. Yeah, which was
what is Congaree?
Yeah, I have no idea. No, he won the Palmetto. What the hell was the name of the course that he won though? I can't think. I
don't know.
Yeah, it's not Congaree though. But anyways, yeah. So
this is gonna.
We've got a couple weird tournaments to follow this. I think both the CJ Cup and the Zozo are limited fields. So it'll be different than what we've seen here historically in terms of, or I should say, the last few weeks where we're not going to get full field events. But, still interesting. You'll get much better fields. I mean, Rory won the CJ Cup last year and Hideki won in that weird course in Japan with double greens. But I guess that's like every course in Japan has double greens. So,
yeah,
whatever.
Oh, no. Yeah, dude, the Palmetto was at Congaree. I was right about that.
I thought it was at a weird, odd, link style course.
No, a Palmetto Championship 2021 Congaree Golf Club won by Garrick Higo.
There you go. Yeah.
I guess where Garrick Higo went to college, UNLV.
Did he really?
Yeah, dude, I'm all in on Garrick Higo. He's winning this
week. You're riding the Higo train this week.
Riding the Higo train this week.
I love it. He taught me something. He won. Right. He won there. He won at Congaree, which I did not know that was the name of that course. And he's from UNLV. So there you go.
Yeah, he went to UNLV, and then he ended up going to Sunshine Tour and European Tour and stuff like that back to South Africa. But this is a course that he's familiar with. So yeah, I think I'm going to play some more Garrick Higo this week. Ride that.
There you go. I might have to add him to the betting card after learning all of that really good information.
That's why we're here, right?
That's right. At least that's why you're here. I'm here just to make sure the show runs. That's it.
Yeah.
And to tell you to go bet on shitty guys like what's his name? Brian Palmer.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Like and comment and subscribe. Join the Discord. The link to join the Discord is in the description of the video. Tony, you did a great job running the show. I'm excited about the Shriners this week.
Yep. Another week, more betting. For those folks that are watching the NFL, obviously no fantasy football from us this week on the Nickel City Mafia channel, but Mike and Jake will continue to do their Buffalo Bills stuff. And you and I, Rick, will continue golf, even if it's just for you and me, man. We talked through this, and it's obviously been profitable for us on DraftKings. So hopefully other people can jump in and take advantage of the information we're putting out there.
All right. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, man. Well, have a good night. Thanks again, Rick. And to all you guys, good luck this week. And we will be back next week for the Zozo Championship. Have a good night, man.
Good. All right. See ya.